This is the latest album from Jamie Lenman, former frontman of Reuben, because you always have to mention that. And Shuffle is a covers album, and it's, I suppose, quite apt that we were talking about Weezer's The Teal album before, because that's a covers album with no creative flair whatsoever. It's just a straight up, these are the songs we're going to cover, and let's just record them in exactly the same way as the original artist performed them. And Shuffle couldn't be any more different to that, I think it's fair to say.
I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I remember seeing Jamie Lenman as part of Len Mania.
Road to Len Mania was leading up to the full Len Mania stage at 2003's festival.
When did we see him? June, July time?
Yeah, beginning of July.
And we saw him in a stunning venue, St Luke's and the Winged Ox. That's right, its full title. Quite close to the Barrowlands in Glasgow. And I remember thinking, he's an artist in every sense of the word. I know that might sound quite grandiose and maybe a bit over the top, to be perfectly honest, but I think everything that he does is deliberate but not in a contrived way. I think he's very conscious of his image and how that impacts on his product, I suppose, as it were, as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think this album stands as a testament to that, to be perfectly honest, because I don't think there'd be many artists out there that would think about covering, say, bands as random as, well, we've got the Beatles. There's 2 Beatles tracks on that album.
Yeah.
We've got the theme tune from Taxi Driver, the Martin Scorsese movie.
There's a couple of theme tunes. There's Taxi Driver, there's Popeye, which we'll talk about again later. Adamantium Rage, it's a theme tune for an old Super NES game. I think that's it for soundtrack. There's another song, Love Song for a Vampire, which is on the soundtrack for Bram Stoker's Dracula. So there's a few random things on here, and it's clear that everything on here is just music that Jamie is really fond of and has wanted to put his own spin on it. Taking Popeye as an extreme example of it. I mean, if you know Popeye the cartoon and you think back to the sort of jolly sailor theme tune, and then you listen to Jamie Lenman's version, which is just 1 minute of someone blasting like a shotgun into your face.
Yes, I think that's
it's quite amazing how he's taken that simple theme and just turned it into a minute of fury. And it's got a ridiculous video with him, basically a shirtless Popeye downing a can of spinach. Mm-hmm. So I think where you've said that you think he's an artist,
no, absolutely,
in that sort of all-encompassing way, I think you're completely right, because I mean, everything to do with this album, Popeye came as the first single, and it had this video to go along with it, and everything is just controlled in a specific way and the way Jamie wants it to be. And I think you mentioned it as an overall product. I think product is probably quite a cynical word.
Yeah.
So it is a product, but not in that sort of cynical sense as a manufactured sort of thing.
I mean, I was quite impressed. Like I said, you know, that we've already kind of mentioned that there's 2 Beatles tracks on there. Mm-hmm. I never actually knew that Tomorrow Never Knows was a Beatles track. I kind of had to do a wee bit of kind of investigating into that, and I've since kind of listened to it. But like I said, you know, you've got the 2 Beatles tracks in there, the Taxi Driver theme tune, which again was a highlight for me. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I could just imagine sitting in some sort of jazz type lounge listening to that. At one point I was reminded of Gary Moore. Okay. So one of Gary Moore's kind of, I suppose, most famous tracks, Parisian Walkways, if you've kind of heard of that.
I don't know it.
I'm not actually familiar with the Taxi Driver's theme tune, but yeah, I was immediately reminded by kind of Gary Moore, that kind of sailing kind of guitar towards the end of the track. I thought it was fantastic. Song 6, I don't know if I will be able to even pronounce this. Song of the Sekilos.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say Sekilos. I don't know how you actually pronounce that.
So have you done a wee bit investigating into that?
All I know about this is it's apparently the oldest surviving musical composition.
Yes.
From like the 1st or 2nd century.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't know anything about it. But I mean, that's as good a reason as any to put it on your cover album.
Yeah.
I mean, who chooses that? As
exactly,
you do a covers album, you don't put the oldest surviving musical composition on it, because why would you?
Why would you? Exactly. I think it's fantastic. I mean, just it's so bold. You know what I mean? You've got, like I said, that. You've got an Annie Lennox song in the form of
Love Song for a Vampire.
Love Song for a Vampire,
which I mentioned before was from the Dracula soundtrack.
Passage from Herman Melville's Moby Dick as well. The Pequod meets the Delight.
Yeah, and that is just a spoken word extract from Moby Dick, as though you're listening to an audiobook where Jamie Lenman does all the voices, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Wasn't expecting it, but quite happily listen to some more audiobook narrations by Jamie Lenman.
Yeah, he does a good job. I mean, I remember thinking I did have the opportunity to listen to this in a sequential fashion, and certainly there's another point where he kind of speaks or reenacts a scene from a short movie, as you'd said to me earlier on, in You're the Boss.
Yes.
And I think that there was a definite kind of tonal change in the album after that.
Yeah, I mean, you go from Popeye, so it's just this like blast of fury, and then it sort of goes into this dark short story. It's quite intense as well.
I was quite unnerved to kind of put it off. I got a wee bit scared at one point and turned it off, but then immediately into that you go into this, like you said, the song of this Circus,
which is just, I don't think it's not entirely instrumental, is it? It's there are vocals.
There are vocals, yeah. I mean, I looked into it. I looked into to see what the lyrics were. It's quite short. I mean, I think there's maybe only one verse that I was able to find. So I don't know if it almost sounds as if he's singing two verses, so I don't know if he sings the first verse in Greek and then maybe sings it in English.
I'm not sure.
I'm not too sure either.
Interesting though.
And I kind of felt as if, like, the 7th track, Coda, it almost felt like an extension of the 6th song in my opinion.
Yeah, Coda's actually, it's a cover of a song by a band called Caretaker, and they're fairly unknown rock band from, I can't remember where they're from, but they're an English rock band. They toured with Reuben when Reuben were in sort of full swing, and actually this is something I only found out last night when I was doing a little bit of research. Jamie Lenman filled in as their drummer while they were touring, so he was essentially touring with Reuben and Caretaker at one point, and that I think turned out to be part of the reason why Caretaker's album took a very long time to come out, because Jamie didn't have the time to help write it or record it. But so it's just an interesting thing. It's a throwback to a different time in Jamie's life, back when he was still in a sort of struggling alt rock band. But it's quite it's sort of sprawling post rock. I don't know. It's sort of long form. It's fairly laid back from what I remember.
Yeah, I actually remember thinking it was part of Song of the Selkios, to be honest. It kind of flowed quite well, and they flowed quite well into each other.
I think the flow of the album's worth talking about, because even when you've got sort of abrupt changes in the style of the songs, you tend to have a little lead in, which is usually Jamie skipping tracks.
Yeah,
so he's sort of as though he's on his iPod shuffle, skipping through his playlist, and he's sort of saying, "Oh, that's shit, I'm not listening to that," until he finds something that's worth listening to. There's occasions where he skips back past some of his own music as well. From Devolver, which if you don't know Jamie Lenman, Devolver is a good starting point. It's his second album, which came out in 2017. Will give you a good idea what he's about. It's quite experimental as well. So after Coda, we've got She Bop, which is a Cyndi Lauper cover. And probably most people, all they know about Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Which in itself is a cover, actually.
Is it a cover?
Yeah, I can't remember the name. It was a guy that sang it.
Alright.
It was Richard something or other, kind of post-punk artist.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I don't really know much of Cyndi Lauper's back catalogue, but She Bop's alright.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
I think it wasn't my favourite the first time I've heard it, but it has definitely grown on me. And then we've got Adamantium Rage, that we talked about before, which is, I think it's a cover of the main theme from Wolverine Adamantium Rage, which I think is a side-scrolling beat-em-up on the Super NES, probably on the Mega Drive as well, but it's an old 16-bit fighting game, so sure, put that on there. What else have we got? Handsome Stranger Called Death, which is a bit of a sort of smoky jazz soul bar
Yeah. A very European feel to it.
Yeah, it does. It's a cover of a song by Foes. I mean, the original version is female vocals. It's a bit more bright, and it's got a sort of synthy organ and a groovy bass, so it's not quite as smoky and soulful. But it's a decent track, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, second Beatles track, Hey Jude. So everybody knows Hey Jude, and you think, oh, it's an easy sort of cover. That chorus everybody knows, and Jamie Lenman takes it and turns it into a menacing, doom-laden, stoner rock beast of a song.
Yeah, I remember thinking it was almost pleading with Jude, whomever she may be.
Yeah, I mean, I've written here that it sounded like John Lennon returning from hell to destroy the earth.
What about The Remembrance? Had you heard of that before?
I hadn't. I know now that
It's by
it's
Jake
Thackeray, but I'd never heard it before, and it's almost a poem.
Yeah.
Just an acoustic poem. Jamie's version replaces acoustic guitar for piano. For my money, it's the best song on the album.
Right.
Just because it's so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially a song about men going off to war, and it's leading up to the day they die in the war, and each verse is a progression of what's happening to them until they're finally killed. It's an affecting song to listen to, but it's in such a sort of bright way that it's really entertaining.
Am I correct saying, does each kind of verse end with, and that's the day we died in the war?
Yeah, it does.
To that effect.
The first verse is like, they're getting told, like, this is great to fight for your country, and that was a few weeks before we died in the war.
Yeah,
and then it's like it's a few days, and then it's a few hours, and then that's when we were killed in the war.
Yeah.
And it's just about the sort of the glory of dying for your country, and how much that's kind of just a thing you're told.
Yeah, part of propaganda,
Yeah,
I suppose.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard the song. I hadn't even heard of Jack Thackeray.
No, me neither.
Before, but I did kind of look into his music, and because when I first heard Remembrance by Jack Thackeray, I don't know if you were the same, but I immediately reminded of the Corries.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reminded me of the young guy from the Corries, or the younger guy from the Corries, the one that's passed away. It's not the guy with the beard, but it turns out it wasn't him, and Jack Thackeray, if he's still alive, was an English artist as opposed to a Scottish artist.
I think he's passed away, as far as I could tell. But yeah, it's a really good song.
Mm-hmm.
A good way to end the album.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So you got any more thoughts on Shuffle?
Don't think so. What about yourself?
No, I think we've covered it. If you're a fan of Jamie Lenman, you're gonna love Shuffle. And if you don't know who Jamie Lenman is, I don't know if Shuffle's the album to discover him as an artist. It might give you an idea of what he's about, but I think you're better going in on Devolver. Devolver's probably gives you a better idea of his sort of style, and then Shuffle is him applying that style to other people's music, which I think is pretty successful.
Yeah.
So yeah, worth a listen. Even just as a sort of comparison exercise, it's quite part of the fun of this album was listening to the new versions and going back and discovering, well, some of the songs I already knew already, but going back and discovering how different they were to the original, and whether the original songs are actually any good or not.
Just interested with regards to Tomorrow Never Knows, the Beatles track.
Yeah.
Has that been sampled quite a lot?
I'm not sure.
I've got a feeling Ringo's drums has been sampled quite a lot for other songs, but none actually spring to mind. It just sounded quite familiar at the time.
I can't think what they sound like off the top of my head.
It's quite distinct. Like I don't think he's necessarily replicated them in his cover. If I'm honest.
No, I mean it's like all the songs. It's pretty much completely different.
Yeah.
Like that original song is like a psychedelia, and like when I was listening to the original, I was like, this is like straight out of the Mighty Bush, like
yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Jamie's version's a bit heavier, a bit rockier. Good album.